All right. Hi, everyone. It's Belinda Weaver here. I am kicking off a series where I am chatting with members of my Confident Copywriting membership. Today, I'm chatting to Natalie Gates. Hi, Natalie.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I wanted to, I've got some questions for you because I thought it might be interesting for copywriters who are kind of connected with the Copyright Matters page and the For the Love of Copywriting group and me in general to get some little peeks behind the scene of what it's like to be a successful working copywriter, but more so from the looking back, like how your business has changed and the bumps you've had along the way, because sometimes we only get to see the finished product, the glorious new websites, the cool branding photos, and we don't see all the ways that people got there. So firstly, can you introduce yourself to everyone here, please?
Yes. So I'm Natalie Gates. I'm based on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. And I mostly write website copy for creatives and professional service providers. And I also do some brand messaging guides. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Cool. So firstly, why did you become a copywriter? What's your little origin story there? We've all got that moment that we went, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. So I won't go back too far, but basically, he did go back a little bit. I originally, always thought I'd be a full-time journalist because I was always obsessed with writing and storytelling. I think that's a pretty common thing for a lot of copywriters, but I'd also say I always kind of hated marketing and thought I'd be selling out to go in that direction. But then I also wanted I know that was young me, but I also wanted a more stable career. And once I started opening my mind to things a bit more before I graduated university and stuff, learned more about the PR field. And I discovered how marketing and PR is still very creative and all about storytelling. So I started working in that field while doing some freelance writing on the side, worked at an agency for several years, on startup launches, which is everything from writing emails journalists would want to open to working on copy for sales pages, even though I didn't really realize what that was and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, eventually I worked in tourism PR, and I was doing that for a while. And the writing side kind of decreased quite a bit. And I started to really, really miss it that I was doing in my previous job. And I also discovered I wanted to be more hands-on in terms of developing a brand's stories and messaging instead of kind of spinning it to interest journalists so they could write their own stories. I wanted to be in the thick of things, actually doing the writing and creation. So I fantasized about changing it up and either going freelance again full-time or finding a way to do more writing again. And then the pandemic happened and I was laid off because I was working in tourism. So it was the perfect excuse to dive into that full-time freelancing thing and kind of just bite the bullet and figure that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I collaborated with people who were copywriters before, but I didn't really know everything that goes into being a copywriter. And once I started learning about it, I thought it was so cool, the dream job. So yeah, I started just to study it, to practice conversion copy and website copywriting specifically, and went from there.
Awesome. So you've got more services now. I want to ask you, how have your services have evolved from when you began to what you offer now?
Yeah, I think it's actually gotten a bit more specific. When I first started, I kind of thought I had to advertise everything. I can do blogs, I could do sales pages, sequences, website copy, all the things. And I still do that, but I've definitely narrowed my focus on website copy, which I think has made a really big impact in terms of clarity and being able to specialize, because there's so much to know. And that's the biggest thing I struggle with the beginning is the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And so I had that shiny object syndrome for sure. So trying to balance establishing my processes, getting clients while also learning all the things was so hard, as many copywriter knows. So once I started to kind of hone my focus, that was great. So mostly now my main thing I talk about is website copy. And I'm kind of getting over the fear of, not scaring people away by not openly advertising all the things, just staying the course. And I really like it right now. So
did you find doing lots of things helped you figure out what you did want to do?
Yeah, definitely. That definitely kind of helped me figure out what I didn't like so much. And also a big thing that helped me, or kind of like guided me in the direction of website copy though, is pretty early on. I connected with this website designer I knew personally, and she kind of like tested out bringing me onto her team, and she needed website copy for her website clients. So that also played a role in kind of guiding me. And then so I was like kind of thrown into the website website design world.
Yeah.
And that helped me realize how much I love that side of things. So, but testing out a few things definitely was helpful too. So yeah, it's definitely worth experimenting, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people sort of like, I know I should niche. I know, and there are benefits in niching, because you've just said you focused your personal, like your development attention. You focused your messaging. You've got the right fit clients when you did that. But if you don't have a favorite kind of project or kind of industry or kind of client, if you don't know that yet, it's even scarier to declare a niche.
Totally. Yeah. Definitely don't feel pressure to zone in right away.
Yeah, try a few things out. Now, you've mentioned a few challenges there. What would you say the biggest challenge was when you were starting out?
Yeah.
The thing that almost stopped you?
Yeah, probably like pricing. I hated pricing stuff at the beginning. Oh my God. It was so stressful when it just like collides with your confidence and, you know, all that fun stuff. And just wanting to give someone like the best work possible without burdening them with having to invest in it. But then at the same time, I was also, like I said, trying to improve my skills and processes. So just all the things at once. I know that's not really a clear-cut answer, but I think just like streamlining it all at once was difficult, and I needed a little bit of guidance to help funnel it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, but when I first started, it was kind of mid-lockdown. It was that weird time of the pandemic. So I was kind of just throwing balls to the wall, I did a little bit of free writing here and there for like small businesses just to like learn and experiment, while I also did a little bit of casual work for the agency I used to work for. But eventually I needed to add order to that mayhem. So figuring out how to, just like establish a process that was reliable and also pricing that I could live with, but also fit my experience. But that was the hardest part. And I was like, am I actually doing this? But yeah, it worked out eventually.
And I think, like you're right, pricing can often be the symptom that taps into so much else that's going on. Our imposter complex, the fact that we don't have systems, any other gaps in our knowledge. And you use interesting language there, burdening them with the investment. It's really difficult for us to make a shift. Like, I hate the phrase charge your worth, but at some point we have to let go of clients who won't pay a reasonable rate as a cost of doing business. And we kind of get even some sticker shock at our own numbers, and we're not being unreasonable if we have a pricing system and we've really worked it out. And it is just a cost of someone else doing this highly crafted work for people.
Totally.
And so I thought that was interesting that you chose that word, because that's often how we feel. We feel so timid because of all the things, that go into just putting a number on our service.
Yeah. So true. So
how has your business changed since you began the evolution?
Changed in quite a few ways. Like client base, kind of going back to that. I mean, I was taking pretty much any random job that came my way, but now that's definitely not the case. Like, again, those people who see the value in website copy, that's obviously an important factor they've got to meet. So focusing on, like, to get a bit more specific, Canadian small business owners is a large thing I focus on, which has been really cool to see how people have like found me by looking up Canadian copywriter, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also focusing on like professional service providers and creative service providers like designers. So just more focused a little bit in that way, but not too focused. Like, I'm not like a extreme nicher, but and just like some really great collaborations with web designers are awesome, and bringing consistent work, also taking the pressure off. In terms of processes, though, I guess one of the big shifts I've made fairly recently is, so I have like a couple of retainer clients that I work with that add a little security, but then I only work with one project-based client at a time right now, which I love. And that allows me to kind of condense timelines and put all my focus on their project, which is a win-win all around. So that's really cool. And it just makes planning things and pricing things like easier for me. And my confidence has just changed in so many ways due to a lot of factors, confident copywriting definitely being one of them. And it's a lot of things.
I love that, deciding to work on one project-based client at a time. And, I think there's a lot of ways we kind of see everyone working and we think that's the only way to work. And when you say, if you asked yourself the question, what would this look like if it was easier?
Yeah.
Well, it would just be one project at a time. Why not? Asking that question as well. How would this look if it was easy? And why can't I do it that way? Craft your own work experience. And I'm sure it leads to better output for your clients because you're not juggling 12 projects at once.
Totally. Like the last few projects where I've like officially done that have just been like the smoothest, like most joyful and like projects yet. So yeah, it really works well for me. And so yeah.
Nice. What about in terms of the way you're marketing your business? Has that evolved at all with this new experience?
Yeah. And that's something, I mean, I'm always trying to improve for sure. But when like, especially in the earlier days, like I definitely felt that pressure to just post and like constantly put up like writing tips, and that works for some people, but not putting not as being as intentional about it. So I'm definitely more intentional with it, but I'm also still pretty laid back with it. Like I don't post all the time, but everything I do put out there is either like, because I genuinely feel inspired to create something and that it's important for either my like colleagues or ideal clients to read, or it's part of a larger strategy to actually promote the specific services I want to sell, which are more focused now that I work with like one client at a time and I'm pushing a specific service. So I don't know. It's, I guess in general, it's just less, oh my God, I need to post, and more, I actually have something interesting to say. And so
that intention and strategy, 2 words there.
Yeah. And also,
and one thing there is like it does evolve. Like we all start off kind of like, I'm just going to post, and then you go, okay, hang on, I'm going to take a breath now that I've got a bit more experience. What's working for me? What's working for the people? What do I enjoy? And it's okay to let things go and change what you do, and either ramp it up, add layers, cool it down, specialize in your messaging. All those kind of things have to happen. And it takes that moment of reflection as well, right?
Yeah. I've also discovered that I like speaking on podcasts. Like I've only done a few, but I always thought that'd be so terrifying, but it's something I want to do more of because I just I love how it's organic and stuff. So that's something that's been kind of cool to discover. And it's great for my confidence to like speak, I guess, even though I thought of it like, so that's been cool too. But yeah, always adjusting and seeing what works.
And that shift. Yeah. I like, when you go, oh, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
It sounded okay. And no one died, and people are responding. I can do that again. And I love that, getting out of the comfort zone. I thought I wouldn't do that. I gave it a go, and now I want to do more of it. But you've got to try it first, right?
Yes, definitely.
So you've mentioned getting on more podcasts. What other big goals do you have on your horizon? Maybe like things that you're excited about, things you want to try, where you want to grow?
Yeah. So kind of the big goal that's on my mind right now is, now that things kind of feel a bit more streamlined and structured, it's kind of a work-life balance goal. So the big one on my mind is I'm hoping to work abroad a bit over the next year, which I did a bit in the past when I worked for my agency. And I just want to go and like work at some co-working places and make new connections with people around the world while keeping like a consistent project schedule that's not like too overwhelming. So explore. So that's kind of the big thing that's on my mind, really, just like keep it steady and explore the world a little bit more in the next little while.
I love that when travel's, opening up again as it is. I remember the first time I saw a freelancer as a designer. We were in New Zealand, just kind of going around in a van for 10 days, pre-kids, obviously. And we were doing it with a mate of ours who's a graphic designer, and he would get up in the morning and work, because he was from the UK, so he was catching time zones, but he would put in a couple of hours work. And then by the time us lazy heads were getting all up and getting ourselves sorted and the day would actually begin, he'd put in like 4 or 5 hours of really focused, solid work. And then he would have the rest of the day off. And it was the first time I'd really seen someone doing that, because we all hear of this laptop lifestyle. But I really filed that away as like, oh, okay, you can actually do that if you work with intention.
Yeah.
You can strike that balance, but it's just, I guess it's managing your calendar, managing your list, walking away from the laptop as well.
Yeah.
To allow for better things to happen.
Totally. And yeah, and making the connections outside the laptop. Like,
yes,
actually, the web designer I work with regularly now is someone I met while traveling like several years ago. So just like, you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Step away from the laptop, start talking to people. I love it. And I just want to highlight as well, because I've got a week event coming up about getting clients, but the way you've talked about using social media, but also networking with website developers. This is a group of people who have their projects ground to a halt because there's no copy. So they are great people to align with because it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love that you're getting a regular stream of work through there. So looping to Confident Copywriting, because you're a Confident Copywriting member, could you name one resource that's really helped you out since you've been a member?
Yeah, there's honestly a lot of them, but if I had to hone in on one, I think I would have to say the giant email template bundle.
Oh,
like that was really huge for kind of setting some of those foundations, like kind of combined with the project checklist you have there, project management checklist.
Yeah.
Because wherever you are kind of in your journey, like it's either going to like help you plot out like all the different little checkpoints that have to happen in a project, or just kind of give you a reference point to reconsider whatever process you already have. And anyway, so it's been really great. And then I've been able to like customize it and change things up as my business has gone on. So that one was really a big part of my business so far. It's been awesome.
All right. I love that because that was a big one to write. And just for anyone watching, in the Confident Copywriting, there's a complete project checklist from through onboarding, through writing, delivering revisions, offboarding, like every single step. And then there are links to emails. Email you send when you're following up, when they haven't paid their invoice, when you're delivering the copy, when you're reminding them about revisions, when you're asking for a testimonial. And it's just that, oh, I never thought of sending that email. And now I don't have to write it either.
Yeah. It just helps bring everything together in a way, and then adjust as needed. That's great.
Well, thank you I'm so glad it's helpful, and thank you for raising it. And where can people find you if they want to either work with you if they're watching this, or just kind of connect with you as an awesome copywriter to follow?
Yeah, Instagram probably be the best place. I'm at Words by Natalie, or my website is nataliegates.ca. So come hang out.
I'm going to put this up. Words by Natalie. That's this you here.
Yes.
And then I have your website here as well. Awesome. So I know we all like to hang out on Instagram, so I'm going to leave that one up there. But thanks very much, Natalie. I really appreciate, sharing the story from the beginnings, because as I said, sometimes we just see the front of house and we don't see all that messy in the middle stuff and the changes and the switchbacks and the realizations and the perspective shifts. Yeah. And it's all just part of the journey.
Yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been awesome.
Well, you're really rocking it. So I appreciate you being in Confident Copywriting and sharing some time today.
Yeah, thank you for all your help and confidence boosting.
Yay! All right, thanks, Natalie.
Thank you. Bye.